All right, I am on live tonight again. I don't know how this is going to play out yet, but I had to come on here and you can't really see this, but I had to sport my ATL Cousins jersey tonight. You can only see a part of it, but if you're here, let me know that you're watching and just zoom in and out. Just let me know you're here. I see that there's one person in the mix right now. And let me put my title in here for what I'm going to be talking about. And then we'll get started with tonight's podcast. As I used to come on here, I never knew when I was coming, but I put out an email blast to several people earlier, I think this week or from last week. And I said I would be coming on this week, except for last night. And so coming in here now and allow myself to do a few things here. Just to get out some paper, just in case some people would like to get a quick numerology reading tonight. We gotta make a little room, extra room for that. Let's see how we're gonna do this. Oh, no, we're not gonna have a super sensitive thing here tonight. Let's see. All right. I don't know why it wants to give me a challenge, but I'm here. Okay, let me move a few things around, like my little water. And I'm going to invite some other people in through my cell phone in a moment. Let's see. But let's see how we're going to do this. Thing is, I always have stuff, right? True teacher, got a lot of stuff happening. May have to get another bookshelf thing in here so I can truly have some room. Okay. Well, while I'm waiting for people to pop on this evening, I'll have myself somewhat ready here. I'm Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I'm on here. I represent and I am the founder of the Circle of Grace One, which you see an image back there. Circle Grace One was actually established in 1974 around the month of July, and then um, many years later, about 20, 25 years later, maybe 15 years, 25, yeah, something like that. 25 years later, I had been pushing it out there to the general public, and I seeded it into the ground on July 2nd, 1999. So I used to have an old logo up, and I released that one. It's still mine because I designed it, but this I had a lot of help by a relative, and it looks really sweet, right? So, so this is what I'm going to talk about here briefly as people come in. I'm going to talk about my course coming up in February. Actually, it starts on February 1st, 2023. We're going to talk about that. It's based on my book you see behind me, the most recent book. This is book number 6. And of course, I'm going to also talk about dreams and why we dream. I'm going to also talk about the importance of meditation and I'm going to talk about the power of affirmations because I feel like all of these are quite important for us to use. And I might do a guided meditation with whoever joins me this evening. So while we're waiting for the list of people to pop up, if they can make it tonight, I'm going to let some folks over in Facebook know that I'm up. Let's see, let me go over to Facebook. Uh, Let me go back to where I was. I'll let a few people know. Okie dokie. Let's see who was in here last. One of the things I want to state here, don't have to have any gaps coming up. Um, to be able to really assist other people, it's very important that we strive to help each other out. So, being able to do that is a cool thing in itself. And also trying to just, um, as a whole, many of us are out here uh, doing what we're doing. And let's see, let's see if I can get the gentleman who designed this. Um, what I want to be able to do is talk about a lot of different things, but pertaining to my specific topic. So let's see how many people I could swing out there. This gentleman could be around right now. And but I want to let people know that, I'm here to assist us all in moving toward the light. And we are always striving to do so. Sometimes it takes quite an effort to do it. So he may not be on tonight. Let's see. But we're going to try to get him out here. Anyway, again, this is the Circle of Grace One. I'm the founder, Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey, and I'm definitely looking to get some information out tonight. Many people have asked me, when will I come on? And so for this particular spread, I'm going right through like tonight, tomorrow night, and then Sunday night. And then I'll start out on a completely different cycle. Now, some of this is to talk about my class coming up online starting February the 1st, 2023. There's 12 paid classes and 6 review classes. The 6 review classes are going to be free, not even charging people for that. But it's based on my book, The Key to Life is Numerology. And I want to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to get this information. So it's definitely important that if people are seeking, realize I'm coming on strong with it. And I want people to know that they can definitely get it because I'm available most of the time. I'm available throughout the day to give you insight on numerology, dream analysis, my original Creative Pathwork meditation series. I'm also available to give information about one of my other signature courses, which is called the 5 Point Creative Pathwork System, and which teaches you how to use prayers, meditations, um, affirmations, affirmative prayers, and decrees to help change your life around so that you can have a little bit more success in your life. And this is unique. You know, everything that's going on, people might say it's nothing new, but what we want to realize is, well, it's nothing new. However, many of us have been utilizing these specific sciences for some time, and it does allow people to move a little further down the line in their life. And so, by doing so, by sharing this information, it allows you to realize that, hey, maybe you have a gift that you want to develop. And so, many of us are here to help you do just that, to be able to bring things forward. And I want to make sure everybody gets this information. So I'm on tonight. Um, be sure to join in, maybe share this. I'm going to, again, talk about my course, what it entails, and also just help other people gain a better understanding of what I'm doing out here. Also, I'm letting people become more aware. Let me see. I want people to become more aware that I'm not a one dimensional teacher. So I teach a lot of different subject matters. I kind of, the way I kind of look at it is, I kind of believe that we all have an opportunity to learn things. And in order to do that, sometimes I have to display some other things that I do know. And the way to do that is just to come forward with it, right? Let you see what it is that I know how to do. And that way it helps you. So, as I get this information out tonight, and excuse me for having my head down a lot, I'm trying to put this out to as many different people as possible. So, bear with me just one more little tap here. Usually should set all this stuff up ahead of time, but I hope everybody had a good day with family yesterday, whatever you chose to do. Family is important, and what's more so important is the little ones around this. You know, I had a chance to go away at the end of October, and I tell you, I was blown away by seeing all my little nephews, nieces, and nephews, and everybody within my family knows exactly what I do. So my goal is striving to let them know that I'm available to teach not only the adults, the teenagers, but the young ones as well. Okay, I think I have enough out here. So one of the things uh, is that it's important that we get this information out, whatever it is. So, people, again, I'm going to peace to Tokia Mac. I want to get it out as to many people as possible. So, one of the things, let me get off the bat here. One of the things that I'm doing is that I have my book, The Key to Life is Numerology. And what I'm doing is I'm putting it out there to start a 12 plus week course. And the reason why I say it like that is 12 plus weeks, because I actually counted it up. It's 18 weeks. It's like a college semester time frame. It's going to run every Wednesday night, starting on Wednesday, February the 1st, 2023. And it's going to end on Wednesday evening, May the 31st, 2024. And in during that time, I'm going to teach all the elements that are in my book. So that book that's sitting back there, I'm going to be teaching from that book. I already have an outline set up for everyone to follow. If you want to get more information, some people are starting to contact me You're going to have to email me at iam.circleofgrace1@gmail.com. And what's going to happen is I'm actually going to send you the teaching outline. Sometimes people send you like a paragraph or two of what they're talking about. But me, I'd rather just give you the contents of what's going to go on every week. That way, not only you might salivate about it, but that's not the case. It's just to let you know. I like to be as transparent as possible to let you know that everything that you get on that, it's 3 pages worth of content. So you'll get everything on there. Plus, there's going to be right up front, only starting in January, there's going to be 2 registration lines. The first one is an early bird registration fee that'll allow you to save $103 for this course. I'll be accepting finances for it beginning January the 2nd, 2023, all the way up to January the 18th of 2023. The next day after midnight Eastern Standard Time, the regular price kicks in, which is higher. And but the unique thing is going to give you 4 weeks in which to pay off the higher price of that course. So you'll have from February the 19th all the way January the 19th all the way to February the 19th to pay off from the higher amount. Plus, what you have to do is you'll be able to give me 1/4 of the payment on January the 19th, and then you can make installments, but you want to be done by February the 19th because the course is going to kick off by on Wednesday evening, February the 1st. So I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to do this. And what I like to do is I like to give also, by giving you that, you'll know what's going to be taught, right? So you'll have that sheet, you print it out, you'll have that sheet in front of you so we can go over. Now, I might use a few PowerPoint slides to put up, but what you're going to learn is the modern numerology alphabet, how it looks. You're going to learn about the Chaldean numerology alphabet, but we're going to use the Chaldean a little later on in the course. You're going to learn how to break down names, places, and locations using the modern numerology alphabet. You're also going to learn how to break down names, full names, nicknames, middle names, first names, okay? And and you're going to be looking at your own name at the same time. So I'll give you a few names to go over, and then we're going to look at your name. I always like to make the class interactive. Why? Because everybody's got a lot of questions. And this is why every now and then there will be some reviews thrown in, and the reviews are free classes. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, for myself, I'll be recording each one of these live classes because I'm teaching it on my Zoom platform. Okay, so I'm going to record each and every one of these classes, including the reviews. Also, I will give you at the end of the class within about 48 hours, I'm going to give you another video that's going to be a review of the highlights for things that you need to pay attention to. And this is going to help you. At the end of the course, I'm going to give you some PDF material and some other presentations. I'm trying to get it into like a short ebook format for you, looking at some other aspects of numerology as well. So this is the thing that I want to be able to do. And uh and what's the next thing I want to say? Okay. Now everything is out there, everybody. Now, usually I have some other long-term students for 20 years, and when they know that I'm online, they like to, you know, bombard me with phone calls, which is not too cool. All right, so can you hear me, everybody? Put the number one in or say yay that you can hear me. All right. Now, I'm going to be here to answer questions too. You might have a question about numerology. I'm a numerology guy. Okay, there we go. Once Ariat, Arit Mayat can hear me. I know that Tokia can hear me as well. So, one of the things about this numerology book, it's I've been doing numerology as far back as 1974. So I've been doing it a long time. And of course, 4 years after that, I met Brother Lloyd Strayhorn up in Harlem at the Old Tree of Life bookstore, and he was able to impart to me a few things. It was so funny because I would show up at the Old Tree of Life bookstore on the corner of West 125th Street and Lenox Avenue, and I would come in there with this bag, and the bag looked like almost like a golf bag, okay, but it was a short leather bag. And he said, "Well, what is that you got in there?" Because I met him for a 4 week stretch. We met on Saturday at 11 a.m., December the 7th of 1978. And so by the time we hit the second or the third class, and I was absorbing this information, and we're writing everything out by hand because that's how we had to do stuff in like a composition notebook. He said, "What's in here?" And I said, "Oh, well, these are my charts that I have. I like to, while I'm sitting up here at the Tree of Life bookstore, I like to go over the charts that I've done on different people." He said, "You're doing charts?" I says, "Yeah, I've been doing them since 1974." And so I showed him some things. And he's looking at it and he said, You typed this and you handwritten?" I says, "Yeah." "And you printed it out nice and neat?" I said, "Yeah." So Lloyd goes, "Okay, I got something. He said, "I have a way in which I'll really know if you understand what I've been teaching." So Lloyd, he's carrying his own valise with him, right? And what Lloyd does is he gives me the name of two or three of his clients. Now, this is a 2 hour class, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So, halfway through the class, he gives me these names with the date of birth and he says, "Apply yourself." So, I worked them out with the modern numerology alphabet, but I also used the Chaldean alphabet on a few of them. And he got back and he read it, looked at it. He said, "Oh, okay." So he marches me over to the owner of the store at that time, which is Kanya Kakumba. And he says, "Hey, I just found somebody that in 1979 for the summer will teach the summer course in numerology. And I could teach intermediate level numerology or advanced numerology." Well, Kanye said he looked at it. Kanye checked me too. I read his name and his numbers. I read a few people that were behind the counter. Everybody was satisfied. And then what happened was that summer of 1979, I began to teach. Now, the cool thing was I was teaching on a Saturday because they had a lot of people in there from Monday night to Friday night teaching. Like they had the late Dr. John E. Moore, who was known as the hobo herbologist. He had the biggest class. Why? Because he had students coming in from Fordham University in the Bronx, Hunter College in Manhattan, Columbia University, NY University. And these people were pre med students. So, what Johnny Moore was teaching was herbology. And he would have all of these real, fresh, live herbs and showed you the herbs and taught people how to use them, how to make salves and poultices and things and teas and how they purge the blood. This guy had a lot going on, but he had the biggest class. And back in those days, Back in those days, classes were like $3. Can you imagine? $3 for a class, any class you wanted. Anytime you stepped in the classroom, back wherever the class was set up, you paid the teacher or paid Kanye $3. So Kanye would keep a buck, and the student and the teacher would get $2. But that's how we taught. And then I had the pleasure of on a Saturday after my class, driving over with a couple of us who did some teaching there on different levels of metaphysical things. And we took a ride over to Newark, New Jersey, where we taught at one of the types of Moorish Science Temple locations there. And I remember it was on Halsey Street. It's no longer there right now, but that's where it used to be. And we would go over there and we taught, and I taught numerology, someone taught dreams, someone taught astrology, someone talked about meditation, and we just went on and on. And the beauty of that shop was we taught on the second level over the shop, from the back of the shop. So what could happen is they could open the door up there and you could see the windows and you could see us as a teacher walking back and forth teaching people. And so that helped that guy out. But I say that because it was a powerful time being able to pop online and do this kind of thing, share this information out like that in the flesh with a lot of different people. And a lot of different people came through the Tree of Life bookstore. The guy that wrote the book, Survival for the 21st Century, he came out one weekend and taught. Gary Null came there and taught. Gary Null used to be on WBAI FM station. He taught. And of course, Lloyd was there. There were other people from various radio stations that were well known teaching some political stuff, African American history things that were there teaching. There was a guy not too far from there. I forget where his store was. And I think his store was called a Revolutionary Bookstore. And he used to come in there and teach too. So there was a lot of stuff going on. Okay, so back to what I'm doing. Just in case anybody comes in here, this is a live chat. And at the same time as this is a live chat, get my mouse going again. As this is a live chat, um, people will be able to see the chat later after we sign off the air. So nobody's going to miss anything. I realize when you do a live chat that can be replayed, it makes it easier. So here we go. So numerology, and the reason why I call it the key to life is numerology, because it is an actual key. Everything we deal with is in numbers in some kind of format. We weigh ourselves, we take our height, we buy clothes, right? Everything is attributed to a number. We have phone numbers. Some people have phone numbers that follow them around for some time, not just keeping the phone number and using it in a different locale like you can do with cell phones, right? But also lived at different house numbers throughout time, not understanding. Now, I seem to have, oh, there we go. The internet was a little shaky. Now it's back up. Okay, so places where people live, the house number, people work issue number, workplace number. Okay. You might have a favorite restaurant that you go to that has a number. And usually we don't use cross street numbers. We just use the number on the building itself. But if you're in an apartment complex, you can do it two ways. You got the address of the apartment complex, and then you have the apartment number. So that's a way. Now, some apartments use letters only, and some have a number and a letter together. Some, like in my locale out here, the first number of the apartment building to the left actually represents the building unit, and then the next three is representative of the floor that I'm on, as well as the apartment number. So that's the way that people can, figure out where a person lives in my particular complex. Okay, there are other kind of numbers. I've always wanted to have a digit, an address digit that had 4 or 5 numbers. I thought that was the coolest thing. My apartment complex doesn't, but my apartment does. So I'm really happy. Okay. And for me, my apartment number happens to add up to an 11. It adds to the number 11, and that's a master number. But it also has a master number embedded in it as well, which is a different master number. So sometimes I'll add both of those master numbers together to get another master number. So there's ways in which you can play with numbers, right? Where you live, where you work, your favorite restaurant, or maybe there's a place you don't like going to. You could figure out what the address is for that location. That has a meaning. Now, usually when we do that, we kind of break everything down, adding everything up to one number. That's a basic way to get the understanding of numerology going with yourself. It's the same thing if someone said, well, I want to learn how to understand what my life path number is. To me, the life path number has a different term. It's called the destiny number. Okay, so you could add the numerical number representing the month that the person is born in, and then add in the numerical day number, and then put that on vertically, that is, on top of the birth year. And you got to use all 4 digits. Now, some people like to use the last 2 digits, right? But that might be okay, but then that's not the full understanding, in my opinion, because were you born in the 1900s, the 1800s? Were you born in 900 something? No. So you've got to really look at, and I call that number when you have a 4 digit year, the 2 numbers to the left, I refer to that as the governor number. The governor, right? If you don't have the governor there, then you don't really know distinctively how that person's life is supposed to be. So that's one thing. You're going to learn that in my course as well. You're going to learn something called a bridge. Now, the bridge is when a person has a middle name. If they don't have a middle name, then there's no bridge for them. But the bridge name allows them to, let's say, escape, so to speak, have a new type of quality in their life. And some people do use their middle name and they use their first name by just the first initial. Some people are doing that to create a business flow, a business atmosphere to their name. Okay. Now, as a numerologist, I would like to know, okay, well, what's the person's date of birth? As a numerologist, I don't need to know your time. So I'm not going to say I'm purely an astronumerologist. That's Mr. Lloyd Strayhorn's department, because he was first an astrologer and he still is an astrologer who happens to have studied numerology and has put them both together, which is the coolest thing to do. So when we're looking at numbers and how they play in our life, we're trying to find out what's significant, what's the most important thing. Now, what I would say in my course that I'll be teaching is that there is no one thing that's better than the next. You need all of these different compartments in order to explain or create a numerology report or portrait on a person. So the only thing that really doesn't change is your date of birth. But you can get tons of people that will approach you with just a nickname only, just to see if you're good at what you do. So they give you a nickname and their last name, or a person just gives you their first name, or they may have shortened their first name. So people find that interesting too. Like you go to a party, right? And you know everybody, and there's 1 or 2 people that are new, and the new person introduces you only to the name they want you to call them by. Well, that's the thing that's interesting with the Chaldean system. When we use the Chaldean system of numerology, we go by the name that you're most known by. All right. We're in the modern numerology system based on the Pythagorean alphabet, and how they use it with the modern alphabet today, is we look at your birth month, birthday, birth year. We don't need your time. We look at your first name. If you have a middle name, We're going to analyze that, and then we analyze your last name. And then, of course, you got to add all the vowels together, and you get a complexion there. You add all the consonants together, you get another picture there. You add just the first name alone, you get something there. And now you total up all the vowels, all the consonants, and you have what is called a full name expression. So there's a lot of different ways in which to apply this stuff. And often, again, people like to change their names. So it's at one point, let's say as an example, Dionne Warwick. She was born Dionne. Her last name, family name, was Warwick. But at a certain point in her career, a gentleman helped her become more out, to bring her name fully out, to communicate who she was. So that person was a numerologist out in the Hollywood area by the name of Kevin Quinn Avery, Avery. Kevin Quinn, Quinn, Avery. And he added a letter. The letter that he added to her last name was the letter E. And if you notice, she had the E on the end of Warwick, and then on Dion, she had three fives. She had the N twice and then the letter E. That was already her given name. So she had those numbers, those fives projected her out further. Now, I don't remember what her birth date number is, but it would have been quite interesting to understand, was she a Gemini or Virgo, ruled by Mercury, which is representative of the number five? Was she born on the five number series, 5, 14, and 23? That would be good to know as well. So, just laying that out as an example, we'll be looking at different names, maybe one or two popular people, icons that we know about. My numerology book had the essence, the soul essence, the higher self essence of Dr. Martin Luther King pop up saying, "Use me." I was going like, wow, got that in a meditation because I was going to like use a lot of like well known names and dates of birth. And, I looked at other people's books. I said, well, they have a lot of content. I only need one. And his name was just the right name to use because of the shortness of his life. But not only that, addresses, places, events, dates of event, they all coincided with his name. And that's because I had used the Chaldean system of numerology. I had applied it to his name. And that was very interesting. And then I saw all these numbers popping up with him. So this is why you want to do something like that. Now, people ask, and I will do it in the course as well. I will teach with the modern numerology alphabet. Why? Because it's easier for people to remember. It is easier to remember. I mean, all you're putting down on paper is a top 1 through 9, and then you're writing all the letters out, right? So we're working with our modern alphabet, which is A through Z. So A is going to get a 1 and Z is going to get an 8. That's how you know you're working it. The other two rows in between at the top, you're going to have A through I, and then you're going to go J through R, if I'm having that right. Yeah, J through R. So I and R are going to have the value, single digit value of 9. Z has the 26th letter, but 2 plus 6 is 8. In the alphabet, 1 plus 9. So you're going to be able to get that going. Now, there's a whole lot of other techniques. I mean, I've studied different types, but we got to use something that works right off the bat. Okay, because I like to, when I'm teaching, I like to use things that help people immediately. So you don't have to wait too long to get it. Okay, so that's the purpose. And that's why I've kind of like have a lot of information in the book Okay, a lot of information in there so that you can play with numbers in different ways. Maybe you don't want to do a full chart analysis. That's only if you're working as a professional at this craft. Then you might want to use various things to paint the portrait of the person: the first name, middle name, and last name, or first and last name. Okay, I've done compatibility charts, full blown, which means I have to do something on the name and the date of birth of the person. And then I do another one on the other individual. And once I get those numbers in their proper place, and then I do the relationship. The relationship has a soul expression. The relationship has a personality. All right. And I add all of those numbers up and I see what I get. And then based on that, the relationship has a reading. Okay, the date that they started their relationship, that has a meaning to itself. It's the same thing if a person is, let's say, has the name of a business already, but they want to start. What day should they start their business on? What day do they incorporate their business on? Now the thing is, you send it in at a certain time, your incorporation papers, LLC papers, but you might get a different date. There might be a date which you send it in, but you might get a different date. Whatever that date is that it gets stamped, that's the actual time. But your date of conception, just like when we're born, we have a time when we are conceived. If you're full term 9 months, then you can count back 9 months and get a general idea when you were conceived, when you started to come into the planet, so to speak. So that's equally important. So you're going to learn that in my book. You're going to learn the significant points of the name and how to get the information and then how to feel comfortable. One of the things I do say is you have to figure out for yourself which alphabet system, numerical system you want to use. So I always tell people it is a matter of preference. If you want to use the Chaldean, use it. If you want to use the modern, use it. You might want to use both and see what you come up with when you're analyzing people's names. Okay, so it is a matter of preference. That's one of the things. So, I'll talk about master numbers, compound numbers, I believe I'll talk about in there. The birthday numbers 1 through 31. We'll talk about numbers that have an affirmation worked out like a meditation. So it's going to be a lot. As I say, if you want to like find out when this course starts, email me at iam.circleofgrace1@gmail.com and I'll get you some basic information out. And once you make the payment, then I'll send you that full uh, outline, which is like literally 3 pages long, where you'll find out, boom, 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 what you want to do. Okay, what you're going to take, what this course has for you. Okay, I'm getting excited. I'm stumbling a little bit. Let me slow down. Now, let me, if you don't have any questions, if you don't want a brief analysis, who knows? You might want a brief analysis on pet in your household. Might have a brief analysis about your children, if you have any children. Or you might want to look at parents. We'll just look at them briefly. We'll just look at the birthday. And to keep it going, we'll look at maybe what the personal year number is. In order to get that, I need the birth month and the numerical birthday number in order to give you the personal year that you might be in or a loved one is in. Okay. Or a business might be in. I will give you that information. Now, let's take a look at, as I said here before, I wanted to talk about dreams, the importance of dreams, or why do we dream? Why are we having these things called dreams? It is true that many people don't remember their dreams. they have some problem about remembering a dream. Now, it could be that a person is overtired mentally and emotionally. That's why they don't notice that they are dreaming. They might think that, oh, it's just something happening in the ethers around them and it doesn't make any sense, so they don't pay attention to it. But there are some things that will make your dream have sense to you. That'll be very important, such as the time of day that you notice within the dream, if you could remember. Also, what was the weather like in your dream? Was it sunny and bright, cold? Was it warm, cool breeze, damp? You might want to train yourself to remember that, to be able to spot that in a dream. Was it a new house or a new building or a dilapidated one or a very old one? Were there modes of transportation that you could see going on around yourself? Did you have a dream that was populated with seniors or populated with adults anyway, or populated with adolescents or populated with children? Did you hear that someone is pregnant with a child or someone gave birth to a child? These are just different parts of something that's actually formulating around yourself. It could be you that's about to give birth to a new idea. It could be you that has to stop thinking old thoughts, old patterns, because you find yourself in old buildings all the time, old neighborhoods all the time. Maybe you saw yourself driving a vehicle, or someone else was driving and you're in the passenger seat in the front, or maybe you're in the back. All those positions mean something. And so we want to start to like hone it down. Now, sometimes people say, well, I have the dream. What should I do next? Well, you want to journal the dream, write out as much of the dream as you can. In other words, describe it. Just like if you were going to write a movie script, I want you to sit down with a composition book, pen in hand, or better yet, a pencil, because you might want to just jot down first. You might have to erase a few things. So you just might write them in pencil to see what you got. Okay. Then you can transfer it to a journal book. But one of the things you want to do is, if you can remember, what time you went to bed, what day, what was the numerical day that you went to bed, because that has significance. For those of you that are into astrology, you might want to know what phase the moon was in, what sign the moon was in, what sign the sun was in when you had this dream, what day of the week. That's going to be important. That's going to give you some keys to help you understand your dream. You might say, well, in the dream, I was reading a newspaper, but I couldn't see the date. But there was a clock on the wall. But that clock on the wall, you were able to remember the time of day in there. That was important. Also, was it a morning time dream? Was it a noonday dream? Was it an afternoon dream? Was it a nighttime? Now, I'm not talking about when you went to sleep. I'm talking about within the dream itself. Do you remember the time of day in the dream? That also is very important for you because it'll start to clarify the importance of the dream. Sometimes, if we have a dream that's relatively new, in the dream it may show dawn, which is sunrise, or it may show mid morning, early morning, mid morning, right? Afternoon or noontime, early afternoon. That's any time between 1 and 4, early afternoon. Then after 5, then we're going toward heading toward early evening. After 8, 9 o'clock, then we're talking about nighttime. So you might want to pay attention if you can remember what time of day was it. And again, the weather. What was the weather like in the dream that you had? All these things point to what's going on in your life. Now, there's such a thing to realize is people have what we call repetitive dreams. You say, oh man, I'm getting the same exact dream over and over and over. I don't know why I'm getting it. Well, when you have a dream that repeats, it's repeating for a reason. Now, who is presenting the dream to you in the first place? As I take a sip. Does anyone on here would like to answer that question or give me your take on it? Okay, well, the thing about it is the reason why you might have a repetitive dream. Now, what I mean by that, it happens the same way over and over. Usually, when a dream repeats itself, you have to figure out why it's repeating because there's some information in there that's very pertinent to what's going on in your waking state. But the dream is being brought to you not by your ancestors, not by your spirit guides, but it's coming from your higher self. That part that's already awakened, that part that already knows. That's who's giving you this dream. That's part of yourself that's highly awakened into light itself is giving you the dream. People say, well, God gave me the dream. Not necessarily. You are connected to the God source. So, in that sense, you might say from the God source, in its deepest part of consciousness, it may have given you that repetitive dream. But the God source energy, intelligence, infinite spirit as it is, has given you free reign in life, your life that you're generating. So it's coming from your higher self. You are the one that's giving yourself these dreams. And these dreams are reoccurring or known as repetitive dreams because you need to understand. Okay, you have similar themes. Yeah. Now, similar themes are happening to give you like a repertoire, library of things that are happening in your life. Now, some people have repetitive. I've always get usually a repetitive dream. I know when it's an emergency because it'll show me like I'm sitting in the middle of a desolate area and I'm going, oh, what's that about? Then I start looking around in my waking state. What is it that looks like it's falling in line with that? A desolate situation. There are many things that are happening. There's a lot of different actions that go on in dreams. Sometimes there's people talking to you in dreams. If you can remember part of that conversation, that will help you understand why you're having the dream or what part of your life you need to look at. Okay, that's very important. Maybe you're dealing with more children in the dream, or maybe you're dealing with more seniors in the dream. Maybe there's relatives in the dream. Sometimes people say, well, my mom and dad just passed over about 2, 3 years ago, and now they're popping up in my dream, but they're not saying anything. Well, part of the remedy for that would be for you to establish a mental conversation, which is more like telepathic conversation, and ask them, is there anything you have to tell me? And what happens is you have to keep saying it to convince yourself that you're getting through, but for them to feel your words on the other side through the veil, as we call it. And when that happens, then you start developing a rapport with them. Then they're able to project their thoughts through the veil acoustically, and you hear it in your mind. Or they can project so strongly that you hear it around you physically. You go like, how did that happen? Well, when they transition into the light, they're releasing all the old stuff that they picked up on the earthly plane, and they begin to go back into that part of their divine self where they can communicate at will with you. And then as they begin to do that, they're able to not just project the thought and feeling within your body and in your brain, but they're able to project it through the ethers so that you hear it around you, which is pretty adept. And as they become more open, they're able to hear your word telepathically when you speak to them. They hear it in their world. Another thing about this dream, dreams as they happen with us, repetitive dreams usually, now it doesn't, repetitive dreams doesn't always mean it has to be negative, a negative experience. A repetitive dream might be happening for you to lock into an opportunity. Sometimes we are quote unquote praying for change, for opportunity, whether it shifts our professional career, or shifts how we connect with family members or a close friend or something like that. Or if you're married, a mate, a partner, maybe there's some little bit of friction there, or it doesn't have to be friction. It could be that you just want to know if you're on the right track with that person, where you're able to communicate. So sometimes we're having a reoccurring dream, so it gives you an idea of how to approach. But one of the most significant things about dreams is this: when you become lucid, which is Lucid, and let me put that in here. When you become lucid, this means you are awake, in the dream. And what that means is that you are then able to correct it. Okay, so you're able to correct it, meaning you see a scenario happening. It would be the same thing as you seeing two people in your waking state having an argument. So you don't want it to step out and be too what damaging to either party, so you intercede. It's the same thing in your dream world. You will see the dream, it keeps happening, and then what happens, it keeps repeating, and then what happens is you become lucid, you become consciously aware that you are having a dream while your body is totally asleep. You will be able to realize, okay, my body is totally asleep, but I'm consciously aware that I'm having a dream. And because you're consciously aware that you're having a dream, that allows you to do what? You see each part of the dream, each frame, and you're able to observe it, see if it feels right. Now, we might say, well, how do we feel in the dream? Well, if you're in what I call your dream body, and that is just like your physical body, you don't see your face, you just see your hands, front part of your body, front part of your legs. You can see the size of your legs. You can kind of look at one leg and kind of see the back of it a little bit. But what happens is, while you're having this experience, you are doing what? You're analyzing, you're taking everything in. And while you're in the dream body, your five physical senses are already in motion. And they are also at the same time becoming extrasensory perception going on. So you're able to perceive the dream correctly for yourself, because you already have sight, you have smell, you have taste, you have hearing, and you have touch. That means you can actually feel a table in the dream. You can feel a chair in the dream. You can feel someone's face in the dream. You can feel your own face in the dream. This is important because you're picking up on things. Now, the more lucid you become, and let me raise my seat up. The more lucid you become, the better you are at retrieving the information and then beginning to remember the information. That's important because that means when you wake up out of the sleep, whether you got 5 hours in, 9 hours in, 10 or 12, you're able to recall the dream. And that's where journal comes in. You start writing the dream out. And the first thing you write is like the time of day in the dream that you can remember. Describe it to the best of your ability. Describe how you looked in the dream or describe how you felt in the dream. Usually if you see yourself like on a screen, it's more a little bit more symbolic, okay? But it still has meaning to you. So when we're having a dream, what's going on, we are allowing ourselves to establish a dream language. Now, some of the symbols are universal for sure, meaning everybody has these particular symbols. But on another level, you have a completely different language of symbols going on in terms of their meaning to you as opposed to someone else. You see, like for instance, a person who's striving to have, who likes to have status things in their lives, they might be dreaming about, I want a Mercedes Benz, I want a Fiat, I want a Jaguar. And they keep putting that information out till eventually they see it in the dream. And then they see themselves driving that vehicle, that type of model. Where another person might go, how do I feel about that thing that I'm driving? Does it feel like it's a good fit for me? See, because lots of things are going to be different. Just like you go get clothes, sometimes you might have to tailor your clothes to really fit you, right? So it's like in a dream, you're going to streamline some of those images and you're going to just pay attention to one set of images that are going on in the dream. So, for instance, if you have schools in your dream in general, educational facilities, colleges, and universities, that means you're going to learn higher information. You're developing higher consciousness. You're remembering to do that. If you see weapons in a dream, that's aggression. It could be sexual aggression, or it could just be physical, straight out physical, powerful aggression type of personalities, right? Strong people with strong egos. But if you see different animals carry a different kind of message. So you have to start doing your research to see what that specific animal means for you. Now, here's digress a little bit and bring in meditation in terms of your dreams. You may not be able to remember everything quite yet that happened in the dream, but if you're into meditation, you can meditate on a specific scenario that stands out strongly in your dream, or some type of other emblem or icon image that stands out in the dream. You might say, "Oh, I remember being at a Chevron gas station, Philip 66. Hmm, that's at the corner of 56th and 112th Avenue." So now you remember that part. You write it down. Or you might say, "Oh, in the dream it was first warmed and it turned cold and it got cooled and it got damp and it started to rain. And that rain turned into a freezing rain and the streets were icy." You have to write that down. And you have to write down what you think about the streets being icy because streets are a passageway, a way to and from something. But it became what? Icy, slippery, can be dangerous. Take your time. So you see, there's different things happen, but you can meditate on a dream scenario. In this case, you can't remember, but you begin to meditate on it, and then it starts to come back into your mind. Now you start to write it. That's the great thing about using meditation just about in everything you're doing. You get a dream symbol, doesn't make sense, meditate on it and see what you get. Because that ability to do so will enhance every part of your life. So that's one way to use meditation with your dreams. But write your dreams out. But your whole goal is to be lucid. Because if you could be lucid in the dream, if there's something that's going on, you could really go deeper into the dream right then and there. You can begin to figure out, if do I need to make a right turn here, a left turn, or do I need to keep proceeding ahead with my plans? Do I need to, hey, I was interacting with this guy at my job. Now I see him in a different light. You see him in a completely different way. Why? Because you're paying attention to what you're seeing. Why? Because you're wide awake, which is called lucid, wide awake in your dream. So this is something that you want to pay attention to. How you start viewing everything. What is it that you gain out of these situations in the dream? I once had a student back in Long Island, excuse me, and the guy told me, Brother Francis, I keep levitating in my dreams. I said, yeah. I said, you're way up in the air or you're very close to the ground? He said, I'm just close to the ground, but I know I'm levitating. Because I look down and I see this space between my soles of my feet and the earth. One respect, it represent him having more freedom to move about, but freeing his own mind because there was space or air between the soles of his feet or shoes and the ground itself. So he needed to lighten up, so to speak, get lighter. He needed to stay serious, but become jovial, almost like a prankster, to free himself from what was going on in his life, which may have told him not to take too much stuff too seriously in his life. Pay attention to what's going on in his life, but don't take on too much crap. He'd have to realize, okay, I'm seeing how I'm relating to my business partner. And I'm seeing something that my business partner isn't sharing with me. So now the person has a whole new perspective. They can actually see what's going on because they see in his mind. They get a play of what's actually going on with him physically as well. So the importance of dreams, again, is to help us figure out our lives. Now, here's some aspects of dreams that we need to know. There are various colleges and universities that have been studying dreams for long periods of time. Even our military governments, when they use what they call remote viewing, which is using their psychic ability to tune into objects and people at a distance. That's remote viewing. Okay, so what's happening is when we're using dreams and things, we're actually elevating our vibration more. When you can elevate yourself, then you start to see better, you see. You start to understand. So you're able to branch out. That's what I'm basically saying. You're able to branch out through the study of dreams. You're able to see your life differently. That's important. While I'm rambling on, let me slow down. Are there any questions that come to mind about dreams? Are there any questions? Let me say this. Am I talking too much? I get excited when I teach. So I have a tendency to say a lot of different things. Well, here comes this person again. We're going to hide one of your things and then we're going to report you. So everybody kind of stay on here a little bit. Let me make a visit here. We always have people who like to come across and, act out. Let me make sure I got this right. One day I'm going to catch up to you and you're not going to have a great time doing your thing. So, for everybody who is exploring things, this is how you tell people they strive to be interruptive, but they're not brave enough to put themselves out. So, this is how we'll handle that. We will rock your world later. Everybody else, if you have any questions, please let me know now. And this particular person here who likes to be okay, and anybody else has a question, let me know. Okay, we're back. Already know who this person is. They think I don't know them, but I do. Anyway, my other two enlightened beings here, do you have any questions you would like to ask right now about dreams? Let me know. I said dreams are very important, and there's a lot of things that happen in dreams. Here's another thing that also happens kind of along the same line, and people refer to it as astral traveling. In one of my books that I wrote, which was The Gift, which is the wisdom of Nefertiti as I am, Nefertiti said it's called soul traveling, where you're taking your soul with you into the ethers and gaining information. That's in this book, which you could get on Amazon.com for $11.11. You can also get the wisdom of Akhenaten as I am for $11.11. So powerful, powerful information. Now, I've been on for about an hour and 15 minutes. So, there's many things that I'm going to be sharing with you all on here. One of the next things that I'll be sharing will be one day I'm going to talk about pendulums. I've been using pendulums as far back as maybe 1980 something. So I got a lot of information about how to use them, how to use them to develop yourself in the world of the psychic realm and spiritual realm. So, be able to use a pendulum is very, very important. I may talk about tarot cards one time. I may talk about some other things too. The whole idea is to help you advance by using different things. Many people will study the Bible, and there's a lot of good information in the Bible. A friend of mine, one of my colleagues out here, she came out with her book. Now, I'm not going to mention anything yet about her book yet because I want to get permission to do so. Okay. So when I get permission to mention her book, you know, more so. But the title of her book is called Mastering Metaphysics. I don't want to show it on air yet. And her name is, as an author, D.M. Vidal. So if you want to get some information, in fact, I may have sent a few of you her book front and back. And the two of you that are online right now, I think I've done that. Okay. Tokia says, I've tried to connect with my paternal grandmother in my dreams. Nothing worked. I saw her face randomly before I woke up. How can I find out if she was trying to contact me? Well, this is what I do with my ancestors. Just like we could have a conversation on the phone, you talk to them. Now, if you have what we call an altar set up, ALTAR, if you have an altar set up, you could put, let's say, if you have their picture, you could put their picture on the altar. The altar is actually like your communication tool. Okay, if you saw her face after you stopped, you could probably go back and try to do it again. Now, it happened in a dream, right? But as I said earlier, you can use the energy of the dream, put it in your meditation, and sit in meditation and send the signal out to her. As you do that over a period of time, it takes time because your energy that you're sending out has to build up, and then the energy, because she's in the light, so the energy around her has to be, how can I call it, soft enough rather than hard. Soft enough, I'll use that in order to for her to feel you and hear you, because it's a soul to soul connection, and then a heart to heart connection that you start making. Okay, so you still have to work at it. Basically, that's one of the things. So this is how you'll know if you keep at it, keep trying to contact her. What's going to happen is, because you're longing to connect with your grandmother, what will happen is she'll start sending you a signal that shows up in your physical space. In other words, she's in the light. She learns how to reconnect from being in beyond, just beyond the veil, to you. So she starts, let's say, sending you her body scent. She starts sending you her perfume. There might be a favorite perfume that she liked. She might send you a feeling of maybe the different kinds of foods that she liked. So if there's a certain food that she liked, you might be sitting back watching TV. Bam, it shows up on the TV. So she's able to see, okay, this commercial is coming up, and I'm gonna show you a pineapple upside down cake, and it shows up. You see it. And any other time you're not in that frame of mind, you don't see it. She might have loved popcorn. She'll send you the taste of popcorn. Maybe she liked coffee, a certain kind of coffee, and then it pops up in your mind, Folgers coffee to Maxwell House. You see, you start getting these different things popping up in your mind. If you keep the communication going, what will happen is she will start putting other things out around you, like a color or a clothing. Is that the physical house number that you're putting there? And can you go to that house number? It, yeah. But sometimes what you got to do is keep using it. You pick one or two of them out and use it, like a calling card number. Y- These different things pop up. You take them and you repeat them as you're thinking about her. You say you never met her, but you see her image. Okay. So you start putting that out. Eventually, if she gets it clearly, she will then know, okay, that's the way to contact you. Then you and her start relating on a whole new level. Now, sometimes it might be meant for you to know how she transitioned, or it may not. You won't know that until you keep trying to make the connection. But you have to keep doing it. Just like walking, talking, and singing. You gotta find the medium and then keep utilizing it. What you might do is almost similar to automatic writing. You might, okay, you have her picture that you can look at if that's possible. You have her name. You utilize that. And now, because you have her picture and you have her know of her name, now you start writing. And this is where, like, if you know how to work with a pendulum, I don't have an immediate one. I do behind me. Let's see. You might use a pendulum to get in touch with her. So if when using your pendulum, you might go, and this is a short cord, you want the cord actually to be long, 6 inches, 8 inches or more, and you would go simply like, once you know which is a yes for you, once you know which is a no for you, like if it's left or right, that's a no to you. If it's to and fro, that's a yes for you, perhaps. Once you establish that, now you start. Now, and the reason why you would use the pendulum, Tokia, because the pendulum is a swifter way to comprehend the information coming from your higher self. So your higher self is projecting this energy down into your body, from inside your body through your hand down into the pendulum. So now you're asking your higher self, hey, is my paternal grandmother around me right now? And it'll tell you if it's around you. When is she around me? Does she come around me at nighttime? Does she come around me during midday? Does she come around me in morning time? Or where does she come to me? Does she come to me in my home? In my car? You see, there's so many different things. You start to ask your higher self, where is she coming and when? And then you could also ask your higher self, well, does she want to communicate with me? You can get that information, a yes or a no. If there's a specific location or a time, you can verify the time through your higher self. One of the reasons you use the pendulum helps you become more sensitive. So when you're about to ask the question, you get an immediate response. And then because you're getting immediate responses, then you're through your brow center, third eye center internally, you'll start seeing images. So if you're questioning like, well, how did you pass away? Eventually you start seeing images. And like a dream, the images can become repetitive. As the images become repetitive to you, you'll start to build out the picture in detail. That's how you'll start to get the information. Now, in the beginning, you might think, I don't know if this is correct. Just keep going. Eventually, you'll land in the right lane to receive the information. Now, what you want to do is remember what you felt about the energy as it was coming to you from your questions in the ethers. Then you'll start moving appropriately. If you have guides, let's say you have a spirit guide that you work with all the time, you could ask the spirit guide to give you the information. And your spirit guide could be the one that can act as the middle being between you and her. But eventually, the guide is standing there and letting you know yes, no, right, left, yes, stronger, up, you're getting warmer. But you're using the pendulum, you start getting warm. You start getting cool if the answer's a little off or it's a no. Yes, you start feeling warm. So these things you would use to help you acquire the information, and then it just goes on and on and on. You can become more detailed with all the information that you get. That's one of the things you want to remember: how the information came to you and what you got. Once you do that, then it gets easier for you. And because you're writing things down, Tokia, you start establishing. You'll realize, well, what's the best mode now? I got her through dreams. She popped up in my dreams. Now I can start communicating with her. Well, keep in mind, as you're communicating with her, you communicate with what is known as her higher self eventually. Now you get clearer information. It doesn't negate the information that you got, it just makes it clearer for you. Now, when you're able to do that from your higher self to her higher self, now the information will come freely to you. It's like I'm talking right now. That's how easily it can come up. You'll go like, "Wow, I got this. I got this. I'm feeling this information about her, and I got it just right." That's what you'll be able to do. You will be able to locate her wherever she is on the planet in the ethers. You'll be able to locate her. Eventually, you locate the pure essence of a person, which is their light body side. You'll be able to do that through yours, and it just gets stronger. So, all of this will begin to become powerful for you. It'll begin to make more sense. And and sometimes you realize, oh, I think she's busy. Just like when you're calling somebody and get a busy signal, it's the same thing. So you'll know all of that, taking your time, paying attention to the information and how the information might repeat itself. But you're going to follow also your gut feeling, because some information may be repetitive, but it may not make any sense to you. Let's say, that particular grandmother might have been born way back in 40s, 30s, somewhere back there. You might go, well, I don't remember that. I can't remember that time frame. She might have been born in the early late 1900s, in the teens somewhere. So now you're trying to figure out, okay, what was going on. It might cause you to do research. Okay, what state was she born in? What city was she born in? What was the climate of terms of personalities and people during that time? And then you start developing more information that way. That's very important. So your research becomes more extensive. That's what I'm saying. Your research becomes more extensive. The same thing can be utilized if you are trying to determine a location, a current location that you seem to be drawn to, or it seems to be drawn to you. You start looking up everything. What's the history of that environment? Is there anything I need to know about? Hey, every time I drive down such and such a street and I go by this house, there's something about that house. So who knows? You might take the address of the house and the street that it's at and go downtown to the city area, right? Municipal building, and look up to see if there's anything important about that property that you need to know about, because you keep being drawn to it. Or maybe you might do some other kind of research. You might go into your local library and find it that way. microfilm, all that stuff. And you say, oh, okay, there's a certain event that took place with that house on such and such a street. Something happened there. What happened there? You might look at old newspapers to see if that house comes up. There's just some things that you will be able to do. But the better you get with your abilities, you may not have to do all of that. You'll just, again, use meditation. You'll go into meditation and you'll start to pick up the information clearly for yourself. So that's like the significance of dreams. It's the same thing with the importance of meditation. Meditation, we should do that almost about every day if we can. But like I tell a lot of my students out here in the city of Albuquerque that come to my class on a Saturday at my spiritual sister's location, when they come to my class, and I have about an hour in which to work with the students, 4 or 5 of them, 6 of them at a time, I usually tell them, um, if you're upset, totally upset about something, don't meditate that because you'll just take that upset energy and literally flood your auric field and everything else beyond you. Try to meditate when you're a little calmer, a little bit more rested. Sometimes you can go in deep meditation and fall asleep, then you don't remember anything about the meditation. So I try to tell people, try to meditate at a time when they got a little bit more energy going for themselves. Then they can stay more alert. Then they can pay attention to the things that they feel, like energy flow through the body. They can feel the mind being calmer, the mind, all the different faculties, the brain being calm, the heart level slowing down. All these things are important to us when we meditate. Sometimes you can feel very light, like with your body, physically lighter because you're meditating and everything is moving at a literally a faster rate of speed, cycles per second. And then you slow down or you might speed up. But that's the cool thing about the meditation because it's energy. You're trying to pay attention to the frequency of the thought patterns and things that you put out. But in meditation, too, the whole goal in the end is to step as far as you can into yourself and get past the physical body, including your bones, your blood, your muscles, nerve endings, nerves, blood vessels, to get into that zone where there's nothing but energy flowing in your body, to attuning yourself to that. And as you attune yourself to that, then what happens is you no longer have the sensation of a physical body. You're just in that energetic, high vibrational light form. And then you're in touch with your higher self, which is in touch with the God source energy that you actually truly are. That's the route. That's why we meditate. Because then when we meditate from that level, then we start acting in that way. So we know the God source is infinite. Another person which you can learn all of this from is Reverend Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith. In fact, tomorrow is the founding of the Agape Spiritual Center, his Agape Spiritual Center. Was founded November 26, 1996. And tomorrow is their 26th anniversary. So that's unique. 26/8, potent vibration. And then the calendar day, 26. So powerful. Go to his website, follow him. He talks a great deal about meditation and how to put it in motion in your life. He talks a lot about affirmations, how to put them into your life. He talks about affirmative prayer treatments, how to put those into your life. Go and check out his works. His works are phenomenal. In fact, get his first book if you can. His very first book is called Spiritual Liberation. And it talks about how he actually got into this, how he got into working with the power of the mind and all of those things, and how he got in touch with Ernest Holmes' material, which is the science of mind, which now they call the centers of spiritual living. You can get in there, you can comprehend these teachings, and how he really puts himself out there and teaches all of this stuff. So that's something that's very potent, to follow some of his teachings. So I always talk about the late Reverend Ike. He has some good material too. You know, a guy that was the evangelist, who studied other people's work in the New Thought era, such as Neville Goddard, and he began to catapult himself and got a whole new sensation about how things work. And he was able to take the biblical scriptures and use them and get the metaphysical treatment out of them at the same time and put them into motion. So, again, this is very important, all of this information. Well, the next thing I want to talk about is affirmations, the power of affirmations. And then I'm going to end this with a meditation on an affirmation. So, I'm going to pull the affirmations from my book, Decree and It Shall Be, Speak as I Am. This book, if you go to my website, www.circleofgrace1.us, when you go there, there's a course. I have a signature course called the 5-Step Creative Pathwork System. Yeah. Yeah, Neville Goddard is one of the people that he got his understanding from. So you go to my website, www.circleofgrace1.us, and when the page opens up, of course, me and my blue fedora there and my blue cobalt blue shirt, I'm talking about my signature course, the 5-Point Creative Pathwork System, which talks about how to use affirmations. It's based on this book, how to use affirmations, prayers, affirmative prayers, decrees, and meditations. But actually, the 5th point, like a pyramid, is decree. So, an affirmation represents a truth statement. That's what it is. An affirmation is a truth statement about something involving yourself and your life and things that are happening. So when you utilize an affirmation, your goal is to change your outlook, or better yet, change yourself. And so when you're capable of seeing that, you're able to change your life in such a way by changing your mindset. So, an affirmation helps you to explore the mind and change your mindset. It also changes how you feel about things that are going on in your life. So, when you're using an affirmation, you're actually stating something that is true, and it's always something you're striving for. You see, it's usually always something that you're striving for, but in the affirmation, you're causing it in the way you speak to feel it and know that it's happening right now. So, for an example, you might say, and I use the word I, the pronoun I, first person, and then I use the word affirm. Okay. Now, when we use the affirmation, is for developing self empowerment for yourself, and is also changing the internal library, which is your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between right or wrong or left or right. It just knows what you keep putting in there, what you keep perceiving, and especially what you feel about what you're stating about yourself. So here is a simple phrasing. I affirm that I live my life with a greater sense of purpose. I affirm that I live my life with a greater sense of purpose. You know your purpose, you know your direction, you know what you're here to do. Now, a purpose can change as you change, because as you elevate and expand your awareness about things, around yourself, and you start getting into some of the remembrance moments of why you know you're here and what you're here to do, then the purpose may change. That's like you driving a car and you're driving straight ahead, but then you see an exit ramp, exit coming up, exit ramp. Oh, I need to go there. And so you look around, check your rear view mirror, side view mirror, put on your blinker, and you get into the lane that's going to take you where you have to go to your destination. It's the same like using an affirmation. So I will say here's another one. I affirm each and every day that I am healthy, happy, and grateful. I affirm each and every day that I am healthy, happy, and grateful. I affirm that I am living in harmony. I affirm that I am living in harmony and my life overflows with prosperity, abundance, and the goodness of life or goodness of life itself. So when I say I affirm, that means anything I state after that is true. I know that which I'm saying is true. Here's another one. I have come to the realization that I am one with divine source. I affirm this truth. See, so we can say it that way. You can state what it is and then say right after it, I affirm this truth, because you just stated it. You can say, I affirm that I am in a better place now than ever before in my life. Now, I put accent on the word ever because usually when we speak a truth statement, our emotional input creates a frequency of energy that starts to draw in what we say. That's important. You want to draw in something, you got to put some emotional energy about it, but the emotional energy has to be clear. Why? Because what you're feeling has to match what you are thinking. And our thoughts are more electrical or outgoing. Our emotional energy is more like a feeling thing, more like it's magnetic. So that's also important. Here's another one. I affirm that in every moment, my frequency is higher and I am feeling great. So let's say, and here we go back to meditation, the power of affirmation and meditation. Let's say you have written down an affirmation. You can do that simply right now. You can pick something that you're striving to become, but putting it in the present tense, because that's very important. Neville Goddard, he would say in his works, go to the end, visualize the end. So he would say, like, you are wanting to get a car. You see this car every day, but you don't have it yet. But what you want to see is the end result. You're sitting in that car. That car is parked in your garage, in your driveway, in front of your house. You're driving that car. You own that car. So you start taking on all the qualities of what that car is to you and the importance of having the car. And you get emotionally excited. You know, as children, we have may have done the very same thing. As children, we may have wanted a Pacific bike or a toy at a certain time of the year, either for our birthday or for Christmas or whatever. But we want that toy. So you, as the child, starts going by, maybe going into the department store, the Pacific store. Maybe it was a new bike you wanted. Able to get your parents to go into a bicycle shop. Now you're looking at the bikes. Now you're touching the bikes. Now you're sitting on a bike, getting the feel, touching it, touching the handlebars, touching the frame, touching the seat, just taking that all in because you can feel it. Now you start to envision that bike. And as a child, you start seeing yourself ride that bike to it feels like it's snug. Handlebars are snug. Everything fits right. It's not too high. It's not too low. It's not too squatty. It just fits right. You start dreaming about it. Eventually, the universe starts bringing things together for you to get the bike. You might hear mom and dad, let's get this bike. Well, I don't know if she gets the bike. She already got a bike. He said, no, but she needs a new bike. This will like spruce her up. And then one of the parents says, well, she can get that new bike, but she got to show new grades. So you heard it. They presented, I'll get you that bike, but you got to show me, you got to increase your grades. And usually what happens? Child increases the grades. They do better. Now they know they're going to get the bike. Well, it's the same way in striving to acquire something that we want. We start uplifting our energy, making it higher and higher and higher. We get lighter physically because we can see that thing that we want, that thing that we desire. And we know what we're going to use it for. But then, as Goddard says, go to the end. So you go to the end, which means you see yourself utilizing that very thing that you wanted in the first place. And you know you're qualified for it. It helps your purpose materialize better in your life with a great deal more clarity. You've gotten stronger because you're staying highly focused on it. You have the clear cut mental image and you have the high vibration emotions to go with it. That's the unique thing about using an affirmation because you're causing something to show up. You're like a mental magician. You're like a mental magician. You're an emotional magician too, because you're putting out your emotions. You're getting excited. You create the image. You see yourself doing it. Then you do it. Maybe you're a person that's has a business, and the business already is in motion, but you're going to see every end result in steps. You might see yourself in sharing an office space with somebody. Or you might see yourself doing the business out of your home. You might see yourself already getting your LLC in place. You see mail that's coming in the name of your business. That's exciting. You get letters, you see your letters coming to you. You're getting phone calls, you see yourself doing that. You're interacting with people, you see yourself doing that. You see people getting in touch with you by way of other people, you see that. And then you start experiencing it. Why? Because you projected it into the universe. And again, if you got an altar, you might write it out. This is what I'm going to do. But rather than this is what I'm going to do, this is what I am doing. I am doing this new business. I have many clients every week, every month. I'm able to do so well with this business that I could take a day or two off, not just a day, but 2 or 3 days off during the week. I have so many clients, they're contacting me out from out of state, from around the world. They know me. Hey, my face is on a magazine somewhere. Holistic magazine, vegan magazine, vegetarian magazine. My face is there. My face is on other types of magazines that may not have anything to do with what I'm doing, but yet it's about being a success. So I'm in that magazine too. And you start seeing this over and over and over to the point where you know you're going to be successful because every time you're looking at this thing that you want, you feel the energy embedded in it. You planted seeds, energy, excitement, expectancy, just like a child. A child expects to get that 10 speed bike, it's on it. That child expects to be one of four people in the family that have an electric bike, and they're all riding the electric bike one day, 2 days out of the week. You see yourself acquiring the right car you want, the right kind of house or residence that you want. You see yourself entertaining people, throwing parties, throwing social gatherings just for business purposes. You see yourself in a hotel. Then you see the hotel. Then you go to the hotel physically. When I had a friend who's one of my spiritual sons, he's in his 40s now. I believe he was about 46, maybe, something like that. But he wanted to buy a car. And this was way back in 1997, maybe the year 2000 or so. He wanted to get a Chevy, yeah, Chevy Blazer, right? One of those utility vehicles. And already in his mind, he saw I want in silver and black. But once he laid the intention out, because he would drive me, every Friday and Saturday, I was teaching in New Jersey. He would drive me while I was teaching the class at the destination. He was next door testing a Chevy Blazer up and down the road with the salesperson in it. Then sometimes we would go to another location and he would, ask my permission. You mind if I stop here? I said, I don't mind. I don't want to get home right away. You go in there. I'm standing around at the location. He's out there test driving the car with the salesperson. Then when he had the vehicle, 2 years later, what's happened? He was leasing these vehicles. 2 years later, he said, I want a Jetta. He put the intention out so strong to get a Jetta. We'd be riding from Long Island, New York, coming into New York City, driving on the George Washington Bridge, and how many Jettas we would count of all kinds of colors: forest green, mint green, gold, silver, white, black, dark blue. He was seeing so many of them, especially when we would come back and have to pay the toll to get back into New York City. We'd pull up and there'd be like 4 or 5 cars, Jettas, different colors. That's what he wanted. He was materializing it. The universe was bringing it to his attention. And then eventually, he bought himself a Jetta, Volkswagen Jetta. So it just goes to show that the mind, through our mind and our subconscious mind, we can create exactly what we want. And the universe will serve us that. The greater infinite God mind, God source, will serve us exactly what we want in detail. We don't have to see the absolute details of how it got from stage to stage. We just need to see the end result and live in a state of grace and gratitude, because it will happen sooner than we think. We have to be ready to receive it into our life. That's the importance of all of this, is learning to trust in your faith. Not just believe in your faith, but trust in your faith that what you're saying is going to happen and what you believe is happening now. And I would always tell him, I would say, Bill, what you want to say to yourself is, I've done this before. Pause. Think about what you just said. Put a little emotional energy. I've done this before. Yeah, I remember doing it. Even though it's vague in your mind or you don't remember, but you're telling the universe, I've done this before. You said this to your subconscious mind, and you said this to the universe, and you planted the seed, and you keep planting the seed, it's going to come forward. I remember when I was moving here to Albuquerque from New Jersey, and my spiritual sister was here ahead of me. And I would talk to her, and I would get online. I would look at renting rooms in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in the city, in the North Valley, in the South Valley. And I said, I don't want to be in the South Valley. I've heard news about that. So, Northeast Heights, Northwest Heights, Central Corridor, West Side, East Side. So, I started doing the research. Then I realized, you know what I need to do? I'll go to it'satrip.org. That's what it's called. It'satrip.org. And that's for Albuquerque. And when I got there, on the website, there was something called a Visiting Bureau magazine. And I was saying, like, here's the digital portion. Hearing the Native American flutes, reading everything online, and then it says, If you want to get the latest catalog, the latest Visitors Bureau magazine, fill in your address. I fill in my address. Within 2 weeks, I had one of those, the most recent one. And I wore the color off. I wore the ink off of some of those pages because I carried that thing with me wherever I went. If I went downtown, I was going to eat someplace, I'm reading the magazine. I'm looking it up on my phone. I'm seeing more and more stuff. Then I thought when I was coming, then I would write a real estate agency, send me this, send me this, send me this. But the most important thing that got me there, when I spoke to my sister, my spiritual sister, this is what I would say. I said, you know what? I'm not going to say bye. I'm going to say, see you soon. Not see you later. See you soon. I believed in that phrase, see you soon, so strong that I would be on a bus and the bus would be in traffic and I'd look over to my right because I'm at the window and I would see Dr. Juan Albuquerque, MD. What? Guy's last name was the name of the city. One time I was sitting in a Jamaican restaurant having lunch and taking extra meals home for dinner. And the woman was watching Breaking Bad. And I didn't know anything about Breaking Bad at the time. But we were watching it, cable show. She says, I like to watch Breaking Bad. Well, while we sitting down watching, what did they say? You're in the city of Albuquerque. I said, that's where I'm going. Albuquerque. Oh, this thing must be shot in the city of Albuquerque. And it was all over the city. So I was saying, here's a TV show, a cable TV show that had a lot of seasons running. And it was shot here, filmed in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I started watching it. I was sharing a place with my friend, a couple of friends, the last location before coming here. And I said, you don't mind if I watch this show? She said, no, we got more than one TV set. So I would go in the family room and sit down in their house and turn on the cable and watch Breaking Bad. And I wasn't listening to the characters. I was looking at the scenery. I wanted to see what the scenery was like. Now I had the scenery, and now I had the magazine. Then when I physically came out and could see it, start apartment hunting and so on and so forth, I got excited. But I used all of those tools to help me do what? Materialize this into place. See, my late mother already told me before she passed away that Albuquerque, New Mexico is where I'm supposed to be. That's my true city. That's my true place of residence. I went and got a reading from a Native American brother at a psychic fair. His name was Ted Silverhand. And he still is a well-known reader, spiritual counselor. I saw him at something called the Mums Festival in Allendale, Pennsylvania in 2010, September 2010. I didn't even tell him anything about I'm moving to Albuquerque, New Mexico. He told me, I see that you're going to be living where you can see mountains. When you come out of your place of residence, you'll be able to look east or west and see the mountains. When you see the mountains, you will know that you are home. Well, after I moved into these apartments where I'm living, one night it was hot. So I went outside, it's about 10 o'clock at night. And I go outside through the gate, out of my building, through the gate, through the front, in front of the leasing office. And I walk. I'm looking. I walk down to where the sidewalk was. And lo and behold, I turned to my left and I could see an outline of the mountains, but I could see the city lights, apartment lights, you name it. So we were a little higher up in the area where I live, where I could see all these lights looking like diamonds. I started to shed a tear. I said, that Ted Silverhand, he said, as long as I could see those mountains, I'd be okay. I gave praise to my ancestors, my late mother. She said, "This is where I'm supposed to be." And he confirmed it. Don't move outside of the triangle. Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and there was one other place. He said, stay within that triangle and everything would be fluid for you. They're right. I haven't moved outside the triangle. Things are popping. So, materializing where I needed to be and saying to my friend, sister friend, saying, see you soon. Why? Because I got excited. I took the Amtrak round trip, March of the year, March of 2011. Came right around my birthday in March, springtime. Hung out for a week. But I rode that train. That train got me excited. And not only that, in 2001, I had a dream of being on a train, going somewhere, but I could only see it at night. I could see the trees go by. I could see lights at a distance. And I would tell my student, my spiritual son, I would say, hey, I keep seeing these things. He said, well, maybe you're going to go. I said, I'm supposed to go I'm supposed to be on a train. I just don't know where yet. I thought it was a short vacation locally. But when I booked it, that's where I was going, everything got clear and clearer and clearer. And here I am in a coach, falling off to sleep at night, pull back the little curtains, and what do I see? Outlines of trees and mountains going by. A little tear fell. I'm doing it. I'm coming to live here. Hung out, saw places, went back. And then in the month of July, something was happening around me. I didn't like what I was seeing. So then when I called up my sister friend, I says, I don't like this. It's time for me to get out of here. I've made up my mind. I'm coming back to live. I'm going to relocate. I'm going to send you as much as my stuff as I can. The cool thing was she and her husband at that time, they took about 3/4 of my stuff with them, put it on a moving truck. When they found a place for them to stay in, my stuff was in their garage. All I needed was the other part of me. So I mailed more boxes out. I think about 15 boxes I mailed out to them from New Jersey to here in New Mexico. Then I purchased a ticket. But how did I come? I loved the train. The train was soothing. I took the Amtrak again, one way. Everything worked itself out, and I arrived on November 15th. It was a Tuesday, November the 15th at 4:35 p.m. in 2011. November the 15th is my late dad's birthday. Powerful. I landed here on his birthday. So in fact, today's the 25th. So 10 days ago was my 11th anniversary to be here in this state, in this city called Albuquerque, New Mexico. Manifested it. So these things are possible. They're always, nothing is impossible because we could say it is, but impossible. I apostrophe M. I'm possible. I have the ability to possess the opportunity and the mindset to get where I have to go. So I wanted to share that with you before I close out. Let's do a meditation where there's something that you want in your life, and that very thing that you want in your life will materialize. Let's begin to breathe in through the nose and out of the mouth. Into the nose and out of the mouth. The rhythm that I'm using, the count, is equivalent to 4 seconds. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. Then do all the breathing through the nose. Place your tongue against the two front teeth, but on the gum right behind it, where the ridge goes up. That makes a full connection between the energy going up your back and down the front. Center. Keep your awareness in the center of your chest. Behind the sternum is your heart. Feel the energy around the heart expand. Not the muscle. The heart is a muscle. Don't feel that. Feel the energy in that area expand. Now, use your imagination, your creative imagination. Go to a place that makes you happy, or see an event in your life that brings total joy to you. And as that happens, take that feeling of joy and peace, serenity that you're feeling, and excitement, and begin to plant the seed of something that you desire. Feel that thing or a series of things that you want to see happen in your life. See them. See yourself at the end result doing it. And feed that image with your feeling. Embrace it with a lot of emotional energy that represents peace, harmony, happiness, prosperity, abundance, better health then and now. Healthy mind, healthy body. You know you're going to attain it. Feel good about it. Know you deserve it. And we're going to incorporate one more thing, the principle of grace. Within each and every one of us is the living organic principle of grace. Grace makes everything effortless and with ease. And that's the part of ourselves that is connected to the light of unconditional love, compassion, and grace that's infinite, that turns on the switch inside of us and allows us to be. The late Reverend Ike used to say, to be, do, and have. I'm saying, just know that you are already in alignment with what you want, what you desire. And you already know ahead of time that you're receiving it and doing it. You're not just believing, because to just believe is you're not certain. So I just want you to have more of trust and more faith. So have trust in your faith. Remind yourself, I've done this before numerous times. I have been successful numerous times. Do you know that in this mind, in this greater content of the universe, there's a side of us that's already operating in perfect health. There's an image of us operating with wealth. There's an image of us already having it all. You're not just believing it, you're trusting in your faith and knowing that it already exists. Allow it into your consciousness. So Reverend Ike used to say that you got to have the consciousness, you got to have that feeling. Then what you're seeking comes. but be in gratitude and let grace inside flow out into the world, capture it, and bring it back. I'm going to stop right here. You can replay this. This ran about 2 hours and 10 minutes or more. I'm Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I'm the founder of the Circle of Grace One, which was established in 1974, July 1974, firmly planted on July the 2nd, 1999. It is my hope that you got as much out of this tonight and replay it. Share the link with your friends and family members that are seeking the same thing. If you have any more questions, you can email me your questions at iam.circleofgrace with the number one at the end at gmail.com. Or you can go to my website, www.circleofgrace1.us, and there's usually a comment page there. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Let me put my website in here. Look at some of the other things that I have that's happening. And if you got any questions, you can leave a comment on any one of the pages where it says comment at the bottom of my website. And I will certainly see it and answer. Or you can go on my contact page. But if you already have my email address, you can just email me directly. Well, I'll be on tomorrow, which is the 26th. I thought I would be teaching a class at 7 p.m., but I may not. But I'm planning to come on anyway at about 9 or 9:30 p.m. So the best way to do it is check at about 9 or 9:30 to see if I'm here. Use the same exact link to get here. Go to the YouTube channel and just put in the @ symbol and then Circle of Grace with the number one at the end. It should link you up right here. Um, I don't know. I might do some other things with this website. People have been telling me about Patreon sites. I got to really look into that. But if I do that, then I could have a whole nother series of videos set up that people can get training all the time. All right. That's not yet, but I'll be later. Thank you very much. My grace is your grace. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. And feel free to share this out with anybody that's close to you that you think they can use this information at this time. Have a great evening and a great weekend. See you soon.